Hello, my friends, and happy May! I'm so excited to be here today reading you another book for our Storytime Saturday from our Tales That Tell the Truth series. Now, today, this is our book. It's called The Christmas Promise. Now, you might be asking me, Miss Jess, it's May, it's springtime. Why are we reading a Christmas book? Now, even though we celebrate the birth of Jesus at Christmas, it's important to remember the promises that God made that came true every single day of the year. So with that, we are going to just jump right into our book called The Christmas Promise. Now, a long, long time ago, so long that it's hard to imagine, God promised us a new king. Now, he wasn't an ordinary king like we see in TV shows or books. He would be different. He would be a new king, a rescuing king, and a forever king. And do you know what? On one precious night, God kept his Christmas promise. Would you like to know what he did? Now, the Christmas story starts with an angel. Whoosh! He came from God to see Mary. The angel had a special message. He said, "Mary, you're going to have a baby. He will be a special baby. God promises that your baby is going to be king. Not for a little time, but forever and ever and ever. A forever king." Look, it's tricky to switch pages. Now, Mary was going to marry Joseph, so God sent another angel. Whoosh! He came to see Joseph, and this angel had a special message. He said, Mary is going to have a very special baby. The angel told Joseph that her baby is going to be king and will rescue his people. He will be a rescuing king. God had promised his people that a new king would be born in a little city called Bethlehem. And that's where Mary and Joseph went. Now, Bethlehem was very, very busy with lots and lots and lots of people. So, when it was time for the baby to be born, he had to sleep in a manger instead of a bed. And all the other mangers held in Bethlehem held food and hungry animals, and this manger held a tiny baby. He was God's special new king. The shepherds in the fields had such a surprise. When a quiet, dark night, the sheep were snoozing when whoosh, an angel appeared, and the angel popped into the sky. Now the sky was bright and the shepherds were scared, but the angel had a very special message for them. Do you know what it was? Do not be afraid. I have wonderful good news for you, said the angel. God's chosen king has been born tonight. He is going to rescue his people just as God promised. He will be the rescuing king. Then lots and lots and lots of other excited angels joined in to celebrate with the shepherds. Now, the shepherds were really excited. They went rushing to see the new king. And there he was, lying in a manger, just as the angels had said. But they weren't the only ones who had heard the good news about the promised king. Some wise men who were living far, far away had also been sent a message. It was quiet, it was dark, and they were watching the stars when whoosh, a new star popped up and appeared in the sky. The star had a special message for the wise men, and the wise men knew what it meant. It meant a very special king had been born. The king for all of God's people. The child was the promised new king. The wise men were so excited they went on a long journey to go and see the king. And there he was, just as the star had shown them. Everything that God promised came true. There are lots and lots of different kings in the world, but God sent the greatest king of all. He sent a new king, a rescuing king, and a forever king. Now, do you know who this king is? What is his name? His name is Jesus. What a fun story to read. It probably sounds a little familiar as our Christmas story, but it's such a great reminder of this new promised rescuing king that God sent for us in Jesus. Now, how do we know what this is about and how it's true? The story that we read today can be found in our Bibles. The story of Jesus can be found if we open up to the New Testament at the beginning in Matthew and Luke. But God started making promises for his people thousands of years before Jesus was born. I challenge you, if you want to open up your Bibles, you can find some of these promises in the Old Testament. When God said someone would bring good to all his people in Genesis, chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, and someone who would be king forever and ever and ever. He promised that to his people in 2 Samuel chapter 7 and Daniel 7, 13 through 14. He told his people that there would be someone who would save all kinds of people. And he promised that in Isaiah 53, verses 4 through 6. So I just pray that we remember that God cares for us. He promised that he would send a saving king for all, and he did in Jesus, who rescued us all when he paid the price for our sin on the cross and rose again as God over all of us. So we are just so thankful for that promised new saving, rescuing king that we find in Jesus, which is why it's good to remember our Christmas promise even in May. Thank you guys for tuning in for another Storytime Saturday.